And hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sharing Your Journeys. Part three. Yes, we are doing part three only because me and JJ ended on basically his divorce and obviously where he is now, and especially speaking about Nyland Seattle and his blog, which obviously is going to be 2 year anniversary, right? Right, JJ?
Yeah,
In
as
August.
of August
Yes.
31st.
Oh, even better, even better. So not long to go. So yeah, so we kind of basically just want to pick up where we left off, just because we like to, just have a nice continuous flow of things. So JJ, I want to hand the platform to you, and you know me, I'll dip in as and when. So
Yeah, I love it. I think I'd like to just start and keep this one crisp because, we already have a flow coming out of part two. Episode one laid kind of the foundation and context to my story of like the things that I really care about and value. We reinforced that in part two of like really some of the major key areas. And I hope to do that
mm,
today. So why don't we start off with where I'm at today? Um, it's not about the stats, but I think sometimes the stats and the data can provide some context. Um, Through my therapies, we call it the vanity versus the sanity quotient, which is like, for example, I've lost a lot of weight. That's a vanity quotient. Believe
mm,
me, I get a lot more attention because I'm fit than when I wasn't. Okay. The
mm,
data around Instagram, and I'm sure you probably can appreciate this, like
yeah,
I've been absolutely floored about because all I did Nylon Seattle for was for one person, which is the person who needs help in relating to my story. And then I've gotten a lot of gifts from it, meaning every time somebody reaches out, like you've helped me be a little bit more courageous on my journey
yeah,
because of what you're doing every day. That's the reason why I did it.
yeah.
And so as of today, I have, whew, I truly can't believe it. And I just want to put a stake in the sand. I have over 2,000 followers, like 2,300, based on
Amazing.
interactions. I love calling out our community in the fun ways. Like I'm going to break us down into perverts and, people who really need it. You can laugh at that. It's all right. Um,
Oh
I
gosh.
think it's more balanced than I thought, and that's just a testament to why I created it, which is I go
Mm.
up to the P. Here in the States, we call it PG-13. How do you guys rate your movies? Like, do you have like R-rated movies or like
Oh
X-rated
yeah, we
movies?
have
Like,
like
how do you guys
PG
claim it?
12,
Okay, yeah.
18.
So,
Yeah.
like my blog is PG-12 to 16. How about that? To where listen, if you go searching, there will be some flirty PG-16 content. Okay, so I'm not negating those people. Actually, I embrace them because I do want to challenge myself with my phobias, which there
Mm.
is like a fetish phobia that I have, and making fun of the situation, believe me, is that gray area. But I would say it's a really healthy mix of people based on the nature of what I was looking for in the blog, which was, I am looking at the negative space. So there's the positive space, which is like the things that you would expect. So like
Yeah.
the looks of hosiery, like the fashion side. But I wanted to raise light to the what like the inverted space, which is how does my everyday wear outside of the walls of my house here, how has that impacted inside the house or inside my mind, inside my brain? And if I brought sex into it or intimacy into it, in my opinion, it dilutes the message of what I want to have. So in episode two, I talked about how the fetish got in the way of my sexuality, and the fetish
Yeah.
gets in the way of my sexual intimacy with people,
Yeah.
and how I've navigated that. And so as of today, I think my approach to Nylon Seattle, it's always evolving and it can always change. I think even, I've been a little bit more comfortable, being a little bit more flirty in like the
Mm.
DMs to just honor people's, adoration, which is insanely flattering. Um, but those are just some of the tenets, which is, I think my initiative of the blog says, you know, a hypersensitive, hypersensory individual who meets his own needs by wearing sheer tights in public, I wear so that you can too. Um,
I
and I
like that.
really thought about that because I want it to be short, sweet, and to the point. And so
Mm.
I just wanted to start there, Sony. Maybe like we could like one or two questions just off the top of your head, and then I would like to go back to the divorce and then get back to how we got to 2300.
Yeah, no, because I was going to literally I had a question while you were talking then because I was like, yeah, make sure yeah, just make sure you ask this. So I was just going to say how that was it. So how has obviously because the blog is you've got 2300 followers on there. Is it something that you still enjoy doing and still have a passion for? Because just from my perspective, I can have a very love-hate relationship with my blog because there's some days and some months I love it. I love what I do. I'm so passionate about it, and you can tell in my writing. And there's so many times where I feel like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And I'm like really about it. And have you ever had like moments like that in terms of doing this? Because obviously you're doing it with a purpose as well. I'm just wondering if you've ever felt like that.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of content creators have the content creator dilemma, which is um, I think people see that it's easy. So I have a deep respect for people who do like the let's like I joke about it a lot because I find them cheesy a lot, but like get ready with me and you put it out there. And I mean, I rushed one. So if you go onto my blog here in the last
Yeah.
couple of months, I have one that I created literally in 20 minutes, but you can just tell the quality of it is a 20-minute video, but it's still 20 freaking minutes when you have somebody picking you up in a half hour. And
Yeah.
it was hilarious. And every video takes time, you know, prepping for
Mm,
this. Like I have anxiety for part three. So my brain is thinking about the things that I'd like to accomplish.
mm,
Um, so to answer your question directly, I have hiatuses
mm,
from my time creating some other fitness content when I was doing a fitness program on YouTube, when I was challenged by my friends to do some Apple technology reviews, which are hilarious and actually got a lot of traction. I think I could be successful at some of those things, but what I found was um, I was a wedding photographer, and I remember doing like three weddings in one summer, and being like on that third wedding, being like, "Oh my God!" Like all of my love for shooting is gone. The shooting
mm,
was easy. I got fired up by the shootings,
mm.
sorry, of my photos, and then when I was editing the photos themselves, the stills, that just, and yes, there's a million tools out there, but I can't, that's not my standard. I'm going to go curate and look through 1,000 photos and pick the 15 that tell the story and that I would want to hang on their wall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they're going to have 60 that they're going to want, on their wall. And then that becomes significant work because then there's the JJ artwork of it, which my differentiation is the coloring, the contrasting, my style that
Mm,
people came to me for. And so that unique value that people come to you, I don't always have that.
mm.
So I have gone through job changes, I've gone through moves since opening this blog, and those things get in the way. And I've learned that I come first. So, yeah,
Yeah.
creating content is hard. But I mean, Sony, you're a business woman and a really good one at that. And sorry to just give you flattery, but why you're good at it and why I've noticed that and why I wanted to just talk business and shop with you is one, like I am starting my own business on the side for consulting and things like that, not social.
Mm,
But I am going to start trying some social stuff and content creation in it. But then I don't have the pressure of that because um, I'll be working in other avenues. But
yeah.
consistency in content, consistency in content, consistency in content. I was with a nonprofit that had it was the number one podcast in its genre, and I was in the finance side in the back end, um, well into the to the double digit million budget areas for this nonprofit, and it was the number one early day Apple iTunes podcast downloads. And so I got to
Mm,
see very early on not how to hack the algorithm, but how to create a successful following. And it's
yeah.
all about consistency. But then it's all about consistency in your uniqueness. And then allowing people to give you the feedback of how to change and how to evolve. And what are your passions? Like one of the passions for Nylon Seattle is I would love to do more reviews
Mm,
because I love a neutral negative approach to some people. Like, not to throw threads under, their women's hosiery from my perspective is better than their men's, which is ironic. Um,
yeah.
and so like why is it that like plain basic women's hosiery, in my opinion, is better than their men's 101? But there's just certain things that I'm sure they had constraints, like they had to specially design a male top, um, ergonomics, which I didn't necessarily like, but that's a lot of cost. And so then
Mm,
the legs were terrible, in my opinion. And so I want to be able to have a neutral stance to be able to give
yeah.
good feedback that relates to our voices. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think a lot of times the companies actually hear it. Like, you weren't expecting this, but like, I actually prefer the fabric of your 15s compared to the 50s.
Mm,
And
mm,
there's nothing wrong with your 50s, but like, they have a cottony soft,
mm,
cashmere-ish blend, which I kind of like the fact that that's omitted in the 15s, and the 15s feel a little bit more of like a pure spandexy, silky elastane.
yeah.
Um, and there's just a look to those that I think are phenomenal. So, but that's my preference, opinionated, and that's where that would be one challenge for the third year, that I'd like to get into a little bit more consistency. But you can see it in my flow. I haven't continued those, but
Yeah.
what I have continued are the posts. I like to do lives occasionally if I'm wearing, and things like that keep me afloat.
Mm,
Um, I would say
I
other
hear
one
that.
tip too on the side is create a professional account, even if you're not doing it professionally, because
Mm,
there's cool stats and things like that you can get, as well as in the direct messages, you can go primary or like your high touch people, and then general,
mm,
and that's been very helpful. And interacting in my DMs is a positive and a negative as well, and so DMs can be a huge drain, and so
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's those types of things that I do.
I hear that. I hear that. So, JJ, I'm not, I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting so eager. So I wanted to ask, are you cool talking about just kind of backtracking and talking about your divorce? Because obviously I love the fact that you are where you are now. And obviously for everybody who doesn't know already, I've been dropping everything about JJ in the description just so you can follow him, find his link tree, and obviously he's now on YouTube. So I've literally put his YouTube link into the description as well, so you can actually go and subscribe to JJ and basically follow what he does too. But yeah, but it's just me. I'm just so eager, and I'm just like, oh my god, like oh my
Yeah,
god.
let's talk about it. I'm ready to roll.
But
So,
yeah,
so again, I believe in deep. I overthink. Because I
mm,
overthink, I really own stuff. Imagine yourself looking out, and half of the room is your family, half of the room is their family. You've gotten to know 70% of their family. And
mm,
as a spiritual being, that's really what matters. And then behind you are your best bros or girls.
yeah,
And so, as somebody who honors the other person's heart, that is a lot of pressure and a lot of
yeah.
energy that's
Oh,
creating a
definitely.
diamond on her wrist, or their wrist, excuse me. And all of that pressure is physically and spiritually and mentally going onto a single stone on somebody's wrist symbolically. Okay.
Mm,
So for me, that is the largest decision in my life. I have children, but I got to a point where it was either me or the marriage. And a trigger warning for that is like, yeah, like you can kind of go there. And so I had some plans or ideas, and I just couldn't escape those. I was in therapy, so seek therapy, have a game plan if you're struggling with
yeah.
that. I mean, reach out to me for goodness sake. Luckily, it was just thoughts, and I think our brains go to those places.
Mm,
So I then, after very, very long consideration on my standpoint, I just couldn't envision 25 years down the road being like going through a dry spell in intimacy or getting into a fight. And then it's like, well, you like dudes, or
mm,
you like tights more than you like me. You blank. And I'm not saying she couldn't change, but
Mm.
there were some other issues that just effectively, like, I needed to be more masculine to lead her. And again, I was more feminine. I was 315 pounds because I was trying to solve problems,
Mm.
and grinding my stone there, but also doing so to hide. And I just thought it was best in order to meet her needs to disqualify myself. And so I'll keep it high level. We separated at a very, very difficult point. Um, and if she ever hears this, I don't regret when we did it. And at the same time, it was the hardest thing in my life. It's the decision that probably impacted somebody in my life more, and probably won't ever come close, because she quickly became a mother that was single with a lot of
Mm.
demands. She was a boss bee, kicking butt. She's the business Beyonce, killer out there. And I love that. She so inspired me. And in order to do what was best for the kids and for me to survive, and I wasn't threatening that in order to get out, it was true. And that was what we did. And luckily, she trusted me in a lot of the things that I said. She did some difficult things for her to cope
Yeah.
that I think she would apologize for. Um, so I did that. And then I used a lot of that extra time to clean up my side of the street. I said, if I'm going to disqualify myself, it is my life's mission to burn it all down and to build it all the way back up. I'd started 12-step programs here in the States. 12-step, for those that may not know, is like for addictions and things like that. And they have a ton of different flavors of that. So I started that journey. I continued my therapy journey. And yeah, I learned how to become a single parent. Um,
Mm.
Luckily, my co-parent, um, she knows what she likes. She found somebody, and they are incredible. Period.
Amazing.
And they have raised three beautiful children, and I love them very deeply, and I love them being, including, his kin. And um,
Yeah.
they're a beautiful West Coast family, that I get compliments all the time for a lot of their work. And so I try to reciprocate that whenever I post, like, huge gratitude to them. So my kids are in a great shape.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, just know that that may be atypical. But also, I didn't really fight and really rip the marriage in half through litigation. There's a lot of surrendering on my side, but also advocacy on my side to make sure that it was amicable in the middle.
Yeah.
So I was faithful, all of those things as well. And so not everybody has the same experience that I have, but um, I'm not saying mine was better or worse than anybody else's, because each one's different. And I do not advocate for divorce. I don't. And I'm glad divorce exists for people like myself who had no other. I had options, but the other
Mm.
options were effectively slowing down what was inevitable.
Yeah.
All right, divorce chapter done. How did it pertain to the hosiery? Um, yeah, there was exploration of, getting my hosiery back online, um, learning about what my bisexuality looked like, experimenting in that arena. Um, Lots of positives, and I'm happy to
Mm.
talk about that. But maybe more for the AMA, or like after the fact. But like,
Yeah.
why the bisexuality, or how I did not know. And that just shows me that I have the ability of hyper focusing on the things that need to. And if you have urges, everybody has urges, so it's easy to sweep those aside. That's the quick and dirty story. So I truly identify as a bisexual. Even after
Mm.
now a couple 5 years in, like, I'm a bisexual. Very attracted to women still in many ways, but I tend to be a little bit more currently aligned to, you know the single person, almost like a pan, or a like a demisexual.
Mm.
Um, and then within the world of nylon, which is really important, I started dating dudes, and in that, I had likes. I like tights. I like tights behind closed doors. I like tights around intimacy. Didn't really become a thing. I was kind of learning more of the male to male sexuality side
Mm,
in my first relationship. Um, First romance after divorce
yeah.
is pretty wild, especially if you've been, withheld, or if you have a first romance. They talk a lot about how that one you'll never get over, and I kind of agree. It was the most intense.
Yeah.
Um, Took a lot of those lessons learned. So my instant $500 therapy session for you in one sentence is: I got drunk on the spark of love, and I'll pause there and I'll repeat it. I got drunk on the spark of love, and I couldn't pull or find my needs and communicate my needs in the relationship because I was just drunk on the spark of long distance, drunk on the spark
Mm,
of compartmentalization and over romanticizing what we have from a whenever I need to pump things up, whenever we go meet with people and they're like, you guys are the best couple ever, or like,
yeah.
intimacy was great. I could live off of that. But then I woke up one day and be like, what the hell am I doing? Um, and then with helps of friends, I was like, yeah, like I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my partner. Um, Number two, dating situation, um, tights. I was becoming more confident. This is like 4 years ago to about 2 years ago. So this is actually the context around Nylon Seattle getting started. I couldn't trust that this person loved me just because they did. And I'm going to pause there again. I couldn't trust that somebody can love me just because they did. And I found that to be really interesting because this person loved me and I just was blind to
Mm,
their expression because I was so fearful about my participation and how I was contributing that I wasn't able to see reality. I would get texts from people or romantic interests and I would completely misread them.
mm,
I am identify as dyslexic and a little bit autistic. Um, so there is some practical reading challenges, but what this is just literally not being able to take text, see it as objective, not
yeah.
applying past patterns to it, and seeing it objectively. And one of my good friends worked for a large fruit company out of California that's an electronics company that they have some amazing tenants, of which assuming positive intent is important. Why? Because people change. So, Sony, you and I could have
Yeah.
had a huge blowout a week ago, but you send me the
Mm,
exact same text. I need to be open enough to look at that text as a changed text. I have to assume your positive intent
yeah.
of what actually was written. I was blind to that. So, and then, I've had some relationships since. I have had relationships within the tights community. Those have been, kind of my last two of just kind of dabbling, here and there. And I don't really want to say too much there because I very much value privacy and discretion. And I love all of these people that I've
Yeah.
explored with. And all I can say in that world for me is it's kind of like where you hit your edge and you finally find the edge of what your experience is. I found the edge of where nylons and tights participate now that I've said it's a must, it's a need, and it's
Mm,
shocking. So I would say, and this is like a hot take, I don't always like being with somebody who's into nylon.
mm,
I'll repeat that again. I don't always like to be with somebody who's into nylon. And it's because I just found that I have edges. So when I say edges, like I get uncomfortable when there's just a lot of tights there because I don't have the same appetite as somebody else may for tights.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so for the first time, I've kind of felt like a normie within the world there because it's like, whoa, like I finally hit my edge where it's like, I probably could tell this person that I don't really want them or myself to wear.
Mm,
Um, and so I would say that's like hot news. That's a hot take. And that's healthy. It's the same thing I said about wearing tights for 30 days. Take the 30-day. I just made this up at the Nylon Seattle Challenge. If you are like addicted to porn and addicted to your stash of, hosiery behind closed doors and you have a partner, wear underpants for 30 days, and I guarantee you, you will have a different experience on day 31 than you did on day one, because
Yeah.
like content creation, the boredom of that will hit, and you're gonna be like, dang, I can now understand why women don't wear hosiery, because it's a lot. Um,
Mm.
so I'll pause there. Those are some like kind of more of like how relationships have looked since the divorce from a bullet point standpoint. And then I want to talk now, not mental health wise, but just about the tights and hosiery. But that's where I wanted to go, Sony, with our remaining time.
No, that's cool. That's cool. To be
Yep,
fair. Yeah, because we do have like probably like less than 10 minutes, but it's cool. We can always clip bits together. That's never an issue.
I'm
Now
here
that I
with
know
it.
how to do
Yeah,
it properly, we could do it.
I know, right? So let's talk about the blog. Before starting the blog, I worked with a therapist through the fetish life. So there's a site out there called FetLife. There were some Discord servers out there that I interacted with. Definitely started sexual behind closed
Yeah.
doors. I was anonymous. Never did face photos. Tried to keep my house, there. But
Mm.
it was part of my therapy journey. Same thing with going on the mail apps for hookups. I quickly learned that hooking up with guys will never be what I am, but also at the same time, flipping it to more PG rated connecting with guys is what I need. And then I can get X rated. So it's more of a bottom up approach, to the hookup apps. And then from there, the fetish stuff became just kind of boring to me. You know,
Mm.
every woman's genitals look the same, every men's genitals look the same to me. Like, I just am not attracted to that. Doesn't really interest me. Obviously, I
Mm.
like, I'll just say videos of the anatomy, having orgasms. How about that? And like I can get off by the sounds and I can get off all that stuff. But like cerebrally, I'm not turned on or not interested in it. Um, it's more transactional. My interaction with,
Mm.
say, porn or those types of things. I really do need a romantic or emotional connection, at least being stimulated or attracted to that person with something other than that. And so I grew up to a point where the pain of hiding all of this stuff coming out of the dude who I was with, that I couldn't trust that they loved me just because they did.
Mm.
I couldn't, I had things to explore in the world of hosiery and in the world of men, that it was too early to be able to do that. And very materially, like I needed to make tights a need. And I think I've raised this up, like tights are a need, not a
Yeah.
want. So when
Yeah.
like, need, want, oversimplifying, and it's a need. And so, what better way to meet my need than wearing every day, which takes a lot of pressure off of the relationship that I may or may not have in the future, because now I'm taking care of my needs as an individual. I'm creating individual empowerment. And that's
Yeah.
the big term of what I'm trying to do. I can't get home to myself on a daily basis. There's my mental health quota for the episode. And with that, like I need better agency. And when I say agency, Jared has rights. Again, tying back to the first episode, Jared has
Yeah.
rights to make choices. I can make a choice. Having a choice is great, but not making a choice is a choice. Choices have consequences and benefits. And the cool thing about choices, you can make a choice immediately after you make them. So when I do that, I honor myself. I make choices. I can run experiments, and I try not to be results oriented. And in that, I was like, I'm going to create a blog, because the pain of being hidden
Mm.
was now greater than, because I had experimented in the fet side. It's not as bad out there than what I was projecting. And so the pain of being behind closed doors was greater than a kid at the grocery store being like, Mom, what's that guy wearing? Or Mom,
Yeah.
what are those? And feeling embarrassed. Or having her walk away with her son and be like, oh, we got to get away from him, which obviously is not going to happen. It's clothing, but that's where my brain went. And I think a lot of us
Mm.
people won't want to admit it to that level, but it is. And so I started wearing public. My first public wear was with a friend in Alaska. And when I say public wear, I've worn in public under pants and I've worn out. But like when I was like, this is where I'm doing, was on a cruise
Yeah.
ship amongst the LGBTQIA group. And I wore formal wear on a cruise ship. So every single person seeing it, because guess what? people who take cruises are a lot of times addicts, and they are very controlling people. And so it's the best place to get started, because people are going to look, you're going to get all the energy, you're going to get all the looks.
Yeah.
And it was diving into the deep end. And what I learned, and I'm going to give myself some motherfucking snaps here, is people notice because it's different,
Mm.
but people aren't going to be to your face as discriminate as you think. And people will notice a lot. So there will be talking amongst them of like, wow, like,
Yeah.
but I'm giving you that wow, that is a choice will be more than wow, that, F word, 3 letter, or, maybe a 4 word with an S on the lady side. It'd be like you wearing more lingerie or being way too flirty for the boat and
Yeah.
maybe being too extreme. There's that 4 word letter that they're thinking about. So I did it. One of my first 3 photos, you can see it. I'm wearing the Nantucket red, or for those in Europe, pink shorts with white microdot sheer text with dress shoes. And the gay guys were like, what's up with the tights? What's up with that? And like, I answered it. I like them. I have sensory needs for my ADHD. And I said, I usually disclaim, and that's not to be an excuse, but I love soft fabrics, and I really mean
Mm.
that. And then I go like this, and I'm like, this shirt is super soft, touch it. And so I bring balance to it. And then I always put it right back on them. What do you think?
That's a good tactic. I like that. That's a good tactic.
And then it gives me a little bit of space to think about what else I want to say, and
Mm.
usually try to end the conversation because I don't want it to be about me or overdraw attention. So that would be my suggestion to friends, because you can
Mm.
quickly get into the vanity or therapizing each other on it, because
Yeah.
you probably have a lot of pain like I did. And so I always try to tend to like be like, okay, like maybe 1 or 2 more banters and then, call it. And I didn't wear every day, but I kind of wore every other day and things like that. And that was kind of the start. And so then I ended up posting, and I did so anonymously, private Instagram, then opened it up
Yeah.
publicly, started doing some hashtags, not on the fetish side, but just tights and sheers and men. And I started getting traction. I invited some people from Discord over that were more gentlemanly in nature rather than
Yeah.
sexual in nature. And again, primarily my target audience tends to be men, uh, expressing in masculine ways that are gentlemen.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely need a lot more women that support. Please, ladies from Sony's site that just love Sony's fashion, please come to my site and like validate that, because there is this part of like my love for women as well, that I just want to know that other women are out there. So the couples that are out there have really inspired me. Mr. and Mrs. Tights of Tennessee, Love and Nylon, who I've shouted out before,
Mm.
and there's so many other ones. Um, and I know we're coming to time here, but it's that. And then I think what you've seen is meetups. So I've done a lot of meetups around the
Mm.
globe, and those have been transformational. Getting to my original point, which is to meet people in real life. That is what this is for. It is a diving board to get out behind the keyboard or our phone and show up to one of those events. Everything's discreet. Everything
Yeah.
is There's nothing going on out afterwards. Like there's no intimacy afterwards, but those meetups are great. Come out. It's a happy hour. You don't need to wear. Your face won't be shared. It's
Yeah.
just about celebrating what that is. And we joke around that it's like the International Tights Convention or the International Tights Forum, because it's just like, let's just not take it seriously, have fun, and celebrate
Mm.
those wherever they're at in their journey. So thanks Sony. And yeah, let's maybe do like a Q&A, and I can go into any of these a little bit further, or topics for future episodes. But
Well, sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. You know how we actually love to talk. So yeah, so apologies for the abrupt ending on the last part, but it's okay. It's okay. We're still going to continue. So that's cool. So back to you, JJ.
yeah, so those meetups are great, and it just provides the kind of what I'll call like the end cap or snow cap of what it's about. It's the frosting. Like why does my blog exist? And it's to get outside of the computer and the phone
Yeah.
and get out there and get involved. Reach out to Sony, not to put her on the spot. Ask her for coffee next time you're in London. At least ask. because most likely she'll do a
Mm.
drive-by or a hug or things like that. If you ask,
Mm.
just don't be a stalker. Come with the right attitude because we'll both block you in a heartbeat. But come to those mixers. They are professional happy hours
Yeah.
uh, that I like to run. And it's about going to a nicer upscale place. And the reason being
Mm.
for that is that there's a natural, decorum that I want to establish so people feel safe. And
Yeah.
if people go off on the side and do their own thing, they're adults, but that is not at all the energy at these events. It's really about celebrating each person and learning about their journey and meeting
Yeah.
other people that you've never talked to. And it's really opened up some amazing conversations and brand new friendships. The San Fran meetup was insane. Sony, the London meetup was fantastic.
Mm.
Amazing turnout. People came out 3 to 4, hours away. And so, yeah, I will be in San Fran later this year. I'm going to try to make it back to London in the next 24 months, um, and things like that. So just that's really where I wanted to end is that. And that really
Mm.
is what it's about for me is reaching those people who, if they choose to stay where they're at, that is a choice and that is a fantastic choice. So my
Yeah.
goal is not to like change people who are closed, behind closed doors. It's about meeting them where they're at. And
Mm.
frankly, choosing to be hidden with it is a fantastic thing. From my experience, it only progresses as life gets more complex. My desires for tights has increased.
Mm.
But by meeting those needs, it's really actually, in a way, curved that back to more regulated. So that would be my,
Yeah.
kind of last comments as we wrap up of Nylon Seattle has become the most therapeutic way to take all of that anxious energy of trying to wear in public,
Mm.
finding out that I love it, and the stories that I get back in return make it all worth it. I met a complete stranger who came up to me thinking that my legs were sunburnt, Sony, because I was wearing your tights.
Oh,
And they really
oh
did.
yeah,
They really did.
then,
But that's an
yeah.
example of the unexpected. And so I asked,
Mm.
her just about like, why did she come up? And she's like, well, there was something like a gravity around you. You were minding your own business, you were journaling, but like I had to talk to you. There was something, there was an energy. And so
Yeah.
I think coming from where I was, 315 pounds, facing things head on, burning
Mm.
my constructs all the way to the ground, making tons of amends or reconciling with a ton of people in my life, welcoming them into my truths had all led up to that point where it's like when I'm focused on myself and when I'm focused internally on the right things, I do attract people. Um, and all I can do is give it back. I've always been able to love other people authentically and
Yeah.
real, and I love that part of me. But I have to start taking that love and shining it inside, and then that's only going to reverberate and refract to become even stronger for those around me. And so that's what this blog represents is love and passion, and of course, getting tights and free tights is the shit. Like, listen, that's a weight of
Of
my heart.
course.
I'm not broadcasting that I need that. But it's like just the community's been absolutely incredible, especially the people who understand that it's about being, personable and PG to start. And it's just been a privilege of a lifetime. And my family knows about it. Like my kids know about it. I think my ex, knows about it at this point, as well as I've integrated pictures with full hosiery in my personal blog too as well. So people have noticed, and it's a slow journey, but it's been, like I said, the opportunity of a lifetime to share this. And then
Yeah.
everybody like you that I've interacted with and I've met with, I've felt more grounded in my life than I ever have. And I feel safe. Where if I get
Mm.
completely invalidated or lose a job because of it, I have you, I have a community, I have people locally like Oscar, Lesser
Yeah.
Trio that understand. And that is the best feeling in the world.
Mm. Mm.
Also, I'm wearing a magical shirt for those.
Yeah,
that are
I know. I
listening.
keep staring
It's
at it.
like
It's,
got like this
it's
Maury pattern, and so I'm going to do like a visual. So you have to come and check out YouTube. Leave tons of comments. I created the account just so I could interact. So I just wanted to pose that as well, and subscribe to by Sony Panda. There you go.
Thank you. But yeah, just to reiterate, I will be obviously tagging in, as I said, JJ into all of his platforms as well, so you can actually get in touch. But I definitely just want to reiterate and say I'm 100% with what you say in terms of the the Tights community, especially networking. And so obviously I never managed to get to the actual meetup that was happening in London, but I managed to see JJ a day before, which was incredible. And I think you are right. It's creating, because that's one thing I've always found, is creating that safe space where there's no judgment, there's no kind of agenda to it. It's just basically, it's that purity, and it is what it is. It's just a way for people to connect, to show the fact that actually you're meeting others face to face. You're both, maybe on the same journey, maybe on different parts of that same journey. It's just, for me, it's a way, I think the best way I can probably describe it for a lot of people is, it's a way of just validating everything, how you're feeling, what you're wearing, and just everything about it, and you're actually sharing that with others. And I think it can be so powerful. It's something so simple but so powerful. And I remember I thought that exact same thing when the meetup happened in London on that Friday, and I'm like, it's so simple but so powerful for so many people. And yeah, I think it's damn beautiful. So yeah. Yeah. But I just wanted
Yeah,
just to say, because it's just, I don't think people really understand how important it can be in so many different ways. Some people just be like, oh yeah, it's just a meet up, and oh yeah, whatever. But for others, it can mean so much. And it's just, yeah, it's just nice. It's just nice when people actually get together and can just have a good time. And then yeah, they're bonded over hosiery, but actually you can have so much more in common. And I think that's really nice.
it was so funny. I just to show that it's not all serious. Like I'm the type of person that can strike up a conversation with anybody at the bar. And we were outside on this patio, and it wasn't the alcohol talking. I'm not a big alcoholic, or like I don't struggle with alcohol, but because of that, when I have a couple pints, a couple pops, you know, I like to talk to people. So I could see this one person across the outside pub that we were just standing in, kind of looking. And so I went over and I was like, I just noticed that you were looking like, I just want to let you know that we have the largest, at least that I know, international tights meetup. I'm from the States, and, this is all guys who are into hosiery,
Yeah.
in an upstanding way. And I wanted to welcome you to the meetup effectively. And so we actually had a couple people join, just to learn. And I asked them questions and I interviewed them to just be
Wow.
like, what do you think? Like honest
Yeah.
objectivity. Because we are so insular of like, we have all these perceptions of our own. And like, it is shocking. Like people are just like, I noticed, but it's also not a big deal.
Mm.
And, no judgment, but also just, yeah, it's different. And, obviously I know that there's probably something, that compels you to wear those things, but whatever, like I didn't even notice. And it was just kind of wild to be able
Yeah.
to welcome them in. And so I'm that type of person who just creates that safety. And then once you do and you can uphold that, because I am going to be the first mama bear that's going to tell that person to F off that's, in our space, that just is in there for the wrong reasons. But yeah,
Mm.
welcoming even people who are not in the community that you have a good vibe with, that just, you can ask them
Yeah.
questions. So that was one
Yeah.
fun thing that happened in the meetup that a lot of people may not have heard about or seen, is that I tend to like to mix it up as well, and make sure it's always a fun time as well.
I like that. I really like that. It's a really, yeah, it's a really good idea. But yeah, but honestly, thank you, JJ, just for once again coming on and sharing this part of your journey with us. And one thing that I do want to obviously do is encourage people to be like, we're more than happy to have a Q&A, where you can actually ask JJ questions, and we can either do this once again on YouTube, or we're happy to actually do a live stream. Um, where you can obviously ask us directly. We can always have a bunch of questions ready beforehand. But it would just be nice actually just to sort of get people discussing, I think. And I think that's one thing that I really do want to push more as well, is get those people who are maybe stuck, or maybe don't know what to do, or don't know what to say, or don't know how to get help, or maybe find it hard getting help. So it's just kind of a way of breaking those little barriers, like even if it's a baby step thing and just asking one simple question, we're more than happy to do that. So yeah, potentially we could be doing another part, but yeah, let us know, get in touch either with myself or with JJ. Like I said, all his links will be in the description. And then yeah, we can always get back together at a later stage and literally have an amazing like Q&A. I love a good Q&A, to be honest.
Yeah, why
They're
not?
always
And also
fascinating.
get creative with it. Get creative with it. If you're comfortable putting a face video, send that over, or an audio clip. If you need to
Yeah,
stay anonymous with it, do it your way. We'll also have it kind of typed up so that we're ready for it if we can't really display it. But yeah,
yeah,
just send an audio message or a video message, and we can, try to incorporate that to make it more realistic as well. So, thank you
yeah.
so much for having me on.
Oh, no problemo, JJ. It's always a pleasure having you on. Always a pleasure. But yeah, well, I'll always keep up with you anyway.
Yeah, come to
But
Seattle
yeah,
too. Like everybody, I'm right
come to
next to the airport.
Seattle.
There's a million coffee shops.
I
Come to
know.
Seattle. I always tell
I really
people,
need
I
to.
talk to them.
I really,
Alaska
to be
cruises
fair,
come from here.
oh, stop it, you. I really do want to. It is on the cards for me to do at some point, but it's figuring
Sure.
out when, how my itinerary is going to look, how long I'm going to go for. There's a lot of planning involved in this thing. I wish it was just as easy as Europe, like catch a flight, you're there for a weekend and come back. So, but no, I'll make it happen. Don't you worry. It's literally it's one of my like bucket list things to do is go to America, meet up with amazing people. Obviously, definitely you, JJ. Like you're like on my top hit list of people to go and
That's so
see.
kind.
So yeah, no, I'll definitely make it. I'll definitely make it happen at some point. At
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
and and maybe we'll have to throw a blowout party for that, like maybe a East West Coast kind of blow up, like,
Oh,
like a couple day, event where people can kind of come and, like you said, like a safe space that's really
yeah.
upstanding. There's some ideas of that going around. And then maybe doing one in Europe as well so that people can kind
Mm,
of really consider flying in and spending a weekend or something like that for a couple days. So,
yeah.
obviously, big picture, very ambitious. So those are just ideas at this point, but
Yeah.
um, it's always nice to be able to share some of those goals as well because those are really where our
Definitely.
initiatives are. So yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much, and yeah, the journey is shared. Let's do it.
Yes. Thank you so much, JJ, for your time. I really, really appreciate you. You know I do. And I can't thank you
Of
enough
course.
for doing 3 parts and actually really going in depth with your journey. So thank you. Thank you so much. And until next time.
Thanks for all you do. Let's do it.